Hey everybody, Texas Stroker, Lance's Performance Shop, Lone Star, Pliers.com. Passing some time here in the shop on Sunday night. Got a box here from Wiha. Now this goes back quite some time now. Geez, probably right around Christmas. And what came with this is what's inside, obviously, but also the 6-in-1 and the 11-in-1s. The reason we sprung for those early from Wiha is simply because they were available and in stock there. It would be quite some time before they became available at other retailers. So I don't remember quite what my logic was for sticking these on, aside from it was a combination of things I'd wanted to try, and I'm also thinking they were on sale, possibly the big deal, but don't hold me to that because I could be mistaken. So let's go ahead and open this up. And that's right, some of you may know exactly what this is. There's a couple of interesting things that I think are going to be kind of more purposefully evaluated as we compare this with other offerings on down the road. But this is from Wiha. It is their part number 32619. That is the number for this set. And the set includes 2 pliers, which you can't really see because of what's covering them. So let me run over some pricing for you. If you go direct through Wiha, $74.84 is going to be the price. Reasons you might do that is if they've got something that's not in stock other places, you are purchasing something that you need that's not in stock other places and want to get free freight. I think currently if you spend over $150, you get the 6-in-1 for free. That said, the 6-in-1 doesn't cost much. As best I know, unless they've changed, Wiha's free freight is $99 and over. And again, the best time, in my opinion, to buy from Wiha Direct is when you've got something you want on the big deal. So coming in, though, what we want to do is just cover what we have. And what this is going to be, if you can't see it, I'll try to stand it up and it'll probably get blurry or glary, but roll with it. This is the 2-piece auto pliers and pliers wrench. So essentially, to break that down for you, we've got Wiha's pliers wrench and we've got Wiha's auto pliers, so auto adjustment, right? The standalone part numbers, let's say if you're going to see one of these items and you really want it, I tell you what, let's just go ahead and read this and we'll make do. So the pliers wrench comes in at 10¼ inches. The auto adjust wrench is 10-inch. The selling points here, we've got easy and quick adjustment. Just slide and close directly onto the workpiece. That's going to apply for both products. Ideal for gripping, holding, pressing, bending, and turning. The soft vinyl grips are solvent and oil resistant. Now, if we spin that over, I'm not sure that we've got their typical, tool steel and hardness scale, all that stuff. So I will say this, and I'm not sure what all everyone would do with these. The pouches like this are sometimes handy to hang on to. Typically, I only had these like if you had bedding or pillows or something, all right? But every once in a while, they come in really handy, so I tend to hang on to them. And this actually does not cover anything else, which is a little surprising, I must say. Doesn't seem typical of what we see with Wiha. So let's get these out of the packaging so you can actually see them a little bit better. We're going to start here. We've got the pliers wrench. I'll get a good look at that one. And then we have got the auto adjusting pliers. So what I am most intrigued by is going to be the grip on the auto adjust pliers, because I have nothing like that from Wiha. What we will do though is go ahead and run you through the pricing here, or as I said, if you've got the pliers wrench, you like it, you've got too many pliers wrenches, you have tons of from Knipex or Godot or whatever. If you just want this or you just want that, let's give you the standalone part numbers again. Timestamps, as always, down below. I post the current prices when I make the video. Again, that's always subject to change. And then I also provide links for you. So if you were to want the auto adjusting pliers, this item down here on the bottom, you would need to look for part number 32637. And if you want the pliers wrench up here at the top, it's going to be item number 32635. Again, if you type in Wiha and those 5-digit item numbers, if whatever site you're on has them, you should pull them up. So take advantage of that. Don't use any other crazy long part numbers. Just roll with that. And the set, again, from Wiha, this would be $74.84. I'm very confident I did not pay that, which is why I'm thinking it was on the big deal. And then that typically with the big deal, you sometimes get stuff around 50% off, and that sounds about like what I'm thinking I paid for it. So that said, standard price at Wiha $74.84 for the set. If you were to buy these individually, again for whatever reason, the auto adjust pliers would be $37.40. Pliers wrench a little bit more spendy at $46.76. If you were to add these up, you would be spending $84.16. That means you save $9.33 by getting the set. Comparing that to KC Tool, which again, if these aren't on the big deal, or you can wait on them, one place doesn't have stock, Amazon, wherever you're shopping. KC Tool, for reference, the set would be $70.69. You would be saving a little over $4, $4 and some change, 15 cents or something. The auto adjusting pliers down here at the bottom, you could pick those up for $35.33, and the pliers wrench for $44.17. So you're saving like $2 a tool, but again, keep in mind how soon you need them, who has it in stock, factor all that stuff in, and then go to town. So what I want to do is start with their pliers wrench. Interesting thing here, if you can't tell, this is their classic textured grip, okay? Wiha, I realize now, before we jump any farther, these are both made in Vietnam. I know that's a turnoff to a lot of people. I've said many times not to sleep on their pliers. Number one, they can be had at fractions of the price, okay, which is kind of what you would expect. Vietnamese, Taiwan, China, versus, made in Germany or Austria or wherever. But find something that that you will need, or you need to replace, or you use all the time, or you'd like to have a set at home or a set at work. Give whatever Wiha has a chance and see how it holds up. And again, when you compare that with the money, particularly if you've got, like a known life cycle or replacement time frame for what you're using, just see how they stack up and then factor in the price and make your judgment based on that. Because again, I think you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you don't try everything and experiment a little bit. Now that said, as I say this, I have zero experience with either of these because obviously I don't have them. But this is the design of Wiha's pliers wrench. Interestingly enough here, they've just kind of added that, I guess, for aesthetics. Almost seems like something you would see NWS do, it's a little sci-fi. I'm not quite sure why, it certainly doesn't have to be done, but by all means, if you can throw that, on the mill and get it cranked out and make it look a little bit better, or catch someone's eyes, at a retail display, maybe that triggers a sale for you. So we've got the Wiha branding. These are oiled quite nicely. And again, I can't stress enough, this is their classic grip. It's textured. It's not just, like a channel lock blue, dipped grip. I think if I zoom in for you, you can see that texture, and I highlight that because the texture on these is actually really good in my opinion. Capacities, which they conveniently do have on the tool for us, if you're grabbing something SAE, you can go 1 3/4 inches, translate that to metric, you'd be about 46 millimeters. Now, as I spin this over, and we focus again, some of you will notice a glaring difference between this and what you're accustomed to seeing in a pliers wrench. And that difference is going to be twofold. But most notably, there's not you see what's going on here? Like what you would typically be doing, with this hand as you slide these back and forth. There is not a push button on these, okay? For some of you, that's a turnoff. For some of you that might have a little bit more experience with said tool, you think, ooh, hey, I might like that. Or if the button, and I found this in like very rare cases, they're usually pretty low, but there are instances where I have had interference with the button. And obviously, the button, in order to be functional and easy to press and depress, needs to be raised above the surface. You don't want to have to like go fishing, with your pinky finger or something, right? And by not having the button at all, you eliminate that and you gain, we're talking like minuscule differences here, but again, in tight quarters, that can be important. Case in point, your wrench set stopped at 3/4 inch, and you've got, something 15/16 that you need to tighten up here. You've got a socket on the top side and you need this on the bottom. And as you're sitting there kind of growing down on that, when this spring would make contact, you have the issue, right? It's even more important, like if this was your sole means of tightening, that spring could clip, it could, hit a contact, be a point of interference. With the smooth finish here, you've eliminated that. I also want to highlight there is really tight jaws there. Again, you might not associate that with something coming out of Vietnam if you're accustomed to purchasing German tools, but that is a very tight finish. And the reason that's important here, this is a pliers wrench, so we want to treat it as a wrench. Picture a wrench that's flopping around, the jaws on both sides. That's bad. That's like a crescent wrench. We're avoiding that with this tool. The other thing that's kind of cool, and it would apply to both of these, and one of the reasons this is kind of, I guess, done as it is, you've got the black oxide coating, and then where this is machined down, you know, for Wiha and the decorative pattern, there's actually a clear on top of it. Not sure how durable it is, not how long it's going to take before it chips off, not sure what happens if it gets exposed to chemicals A, B, or C, but it is at least there initially out of the package. Similarly, the handles on both of these should be chemical and oil resistant, which I believe the packaging highlighted. Now, I'm wanting to see how these actually function, and it's not super smooth, but again, you're seeing the first times I've ever messed with these things, so I think over time you'd get it down pretty good. And again, get that camera strap out of here. It's an interesting deviation there. It's one of those things I will honestly have to use these to kind of see, you know, the pros and the cons. If this was a Knipex deal, we've got a parrot, we've got a toucan, we've got like a blowfish or a snake coming in here, coming in off that. You just start seeing all sorts of faces, wondering what they'd call the tool. But it's definitely a unique design, so we will set that back down. Let me see if there's anything I wanted to add from the official material here. So the pliers wrench, which I want to say both of these might have been brand new for Wiha in like 2018, don't hold me to that, but they advertise smooth jaws for damage-free turning on parallel surfaces. They're fully adjustable from 1 3/4 inch round, 46mm hex. There's easy and quick adjustments, slide and close directly onto the workpiece. They've got a narrower profile, and again, they advertise this on the site, KC Tools site, in this catalog. No button to interfere with turning clearance. Like I said, I've used the pliers wrenches and cobras and button things quite a bit. That is one thing you don't really, when you first get it, you're like, oh, cool. You know, and then when you start using it, as I mentioned, it's very rare I've run into that. But if you're someone that has that problem and that makes you not like the button adjustment type of pliers, whatever they may be, pliers, you know, or pliers wrench, keep this in mind, you know. And like I said, you know, if you wear your pair out or something, you just get frustrated to the nth degree, this becomes an option for you. Let's see here. The narrower profile, ideal for all applications: gripping, holding, pressing, bending, and precise turning. They're chrome vanadium steel, hot forged, hardened, and tempered. Metric, we're going to be about 260mm end to end. For our inches, that would be 10 1/4. Coming in at about 1 1/4 pounds for your weight. Now, the pliers wrench has been completed. We're going to move to these auto adjust pliers, which I'm kind of excited about. And they're going to come in at 10 inches or 250mm end to end. Their capacities for round stuff 1.5 inches and hex 1 9/16. So that is pretty impressive. And if you're scoring at home, that's actually going to be less for the round stuff and more for the hex stuff, right? No, less for both. Okay, I was going to say that makes no sense. But if we take a gander at it, you just squeeze the pliers and they automatically adjust the diameter of your workpiece. They've got induction hardened jaws, heavy duty box steel joints, high quality CV special tool steel, and soft vinyl grips are oil and solvent resistant. They weigh in at about 7/8 of a pound or so, so a little bit lighter than the pliers wrench. That's a reference. Yeah, I can see that. Now, what's striking to me is the handle, because I've never seen anything from Wiha with this handle. Okay, I think you can tell just in the color contrast. You know, this is the typical dipped red that you see, and this is almost more of like a, it's got a little salmon in it, right? You know, depending on the angle and the lighting. It's got a totally different feel, and it's not like a dipped handle either. If we come in and we take a gander at the handles themselves, you'll see the Wiha logo and branding there. They've got the round which I gotta say, you know, through the camera, that almost even looks like a hex, you know, and you would just think, you know, SAE and metric at quick glance, but 1.5" round, 40mm hex, okay? And it's also strange we would do, you know, SAE for round and metric for hex, but, you know, well, whatever. I guess it works. But if you look here, I'm hoping the camera will pick that up. This is totally, I mean, it's smooth, there is a little grain to it, but then on this side, I'm hoping you can tell the difference. I think at this break point right off my thumbnail, this is smooth. I've now hit something that's almost like a vinyl grain, you know, like if you're doing upholstery or something. It provides texture, but it's pretty slick. I think obviously it would help you not slip in certain situations, but I have never seen a handle quite like this on any German tools, anything from Wiha, anything comparable from other brands. It's almost more akin to like a, I don't know, a plastic handle, if that makes any sense. Just something you'd like pick up at, you know, like a parts store or truck stop type of a deal. The closest thing I guess I could come up with, I always have these handy, my Code Blue 318s. The red here, it's almost like the texture, you know, obviously a little bit lighter of a color, but it's almost like what we have there on that handle of the channel lock. So interesting stuff. Now, there must be a catch on these, and I'm not sure what it is. So, let's see. Can't squeeze. Oh, I see. Haha, clever. I was just seeing the little spring handle here, and I was thinking it had something to do with that, but on closer inspection, this doesn't look like it should be part of anything, and there's your solution. So, pretty wide profile there, right? And then again, we're going to come in and auto adjust, and as we would spin around to tighten, I think it would kind of torque down and stay in place. So, the question here becomes, they don't necessarily spring all the way. I'd say they're getting like, what is that, 90-95% open, which again is not a big deal. I mean, at least they don't like stop there or something crazy. But they're fanning out pretty good, which again, I feel like for the average Joe, you go for something like this, you know, if you're doing copper union fittings, if you're just doing a quick plumbing repair, if you're, for me, you know, the airlines always come to mind when I plumb the shop. If you're like doing something with, you're routing a gas line out to a stove or building, you know, a built-in grill type of a thing. Most people, you know, even if you have an expansive wrench set at home, unless you're doing like heavy equipment stuff where you need those larger sizes, 3/4, you know, that's where sets typically stop. 7/8. I'm someone that uses 5/8 stuff all the time, so 15/16. It's important to me. Really past that, even in automotive stuff, the only thing that's usually much bigger than that would be like crank bolts, and that's for Chrysler stuff. GM, I don't even know if they would get past an inch on anything. But bottom line, you know, most people are going to stop at like an inch, 1.25 inches, 1 1/8, somewhere, maybe 1/250. People would max out, and unless you do something specific where you know, like, oh, I need a huge wrench for this, you're stopping somewhere in the 3/4 to 1.25 range, I would say. So that's where something like this or the Pliers wrenches are super nice, because they replace not only the smaller stuff, but then they give you an increased capacity, right? And again, for metric people, that would be up to 40 millimeters here with this sucker. So this is something we could come in, we could grab our unions, we can go to town. Maybe even another example, you know, like maybe your wife wants you to build like black pipe shelf units or something, and you're sitting there shooting them into the wall, and then to make your shelves, you've got your 90s and everything. That's where this would come in, kind of grabbing the rounds and everything, right? You're typically going to have like a, you know, monkey wrench type of a deal, a crescent that would be really frustrating, and then things like this come in and prove themselves quite handy. So what I want to see now though is how well does this catch work? And so that's interesting. Let's see if it does it this time. So what's happening here is I slide this up, that caught. If you get it, you can see the mechanism here that this is going to slide over and actually become your safety or your space saver, whatever you want to call it. This is sort of something you have to kind of wing up there pretty good. And you can see if you don't have it just right, it's going to frustrate you. It's one of those types of deals, like you think that might have seated, you heard a click. Nope, you got to come in and really work that. I'm wondering if the angle of attack is best approached from here. That may be the secret. Because watch, this is one finger. Yeah. So let's try it again from here. Oh, we got it that time. Maybe we broke it in. Not. Yeah, it's very weird. There's like a point that this binds and doesn't catch, yet if I come up top, I can get it pretty much every single time with one finger. So, as dainty and odd as that seems, that would be my advice to you, because we're just bench testing it here. This is wanting to catch and not slide, and then even when you come from this point, I'm hitting resistance and I'm not able to get it to catch. But again, I come here and it's perfect. So I guess this is even easier to articulate. That must be what's intended. I mean, there's a nice little landing pad. I think you can see what I'm talking about right here versus here on the side, although I was going with that. It's not super stiff. There's actually an arrow. Okay. I honestly thought that was an oil stain. My apologies. That would have helped when we were trying to figure this out initially, but it's not a huge deal. However, if you're, maybe like throwing your tools in a bucket, or you have a pouch, or it's a belt deal, I could kind of see that popping loose. And the difference is, this is like your compact storage setting, which for me it would be in a toolbox most of the time. If that did pop loose, I mean, you go from a really nice compact profile to that, and might just be a minor grievance here. Again, you saw that I can't do it, but then right here, so this will take some getting used to, but as long as you coming across the handle, this seems to work flawlessly. I've yet to have it fail. But if you're just kind of doing this, which I would consider this to be more natural, it's going to bind and it's not going to catch. I did that time, but you get the idea. It's not quite perfect, but this actually is. So for whatever reason, just do that. You should be home free. Now, unlike this guy that's got smooth jaws, this one does not, because it needs to grip. Oh, this is always difficult to find in the sweet spot, but let's try it this way. Aha, look at that. I like what I see, but I also don't like what I see. I don't know. Let me just bring these up so I can look at them. The front teeth are probably going to be worthless for a solid grip. The back teeth actually are cut pretty deep. I think they might be okay. The ones that you see, where is the sweet spot for this stupid thing? What you're looking at here, these, as you come across going forward, they're cut deep. This front stuff, which you've had brief moments where the camera was showing it, oh my gosh. You see right there, like that's actually cut out. That should be teeth. And then there's like something here that's kind of filling in the gap. Now, I think it'll grab. Let's see here. Do I have anything smooth? You know what? Oh, yeah. This isn't going to work very well because it's not been cut. But for something I was doing, I brought in some round. And you got to understand, this is like 3 feet long, so it's going to go down. But these front teeth, they're holding it, but they're letting it drop as well. Again, I'm grabbing this explicitly from the front, trying to keep the tripod from getting jostled on you. So yeah, I mean, if this was like shaved off and it was like a reasonable length, I mean, I'm not lying to you. I got the whole 3 or 4 foot section of rod here. I think it's 3 feet, but both seem to actually grip it. These flat kind of filled teeth grip very well. That's just, this is way too heavy and too long for it. Let's try this again, one-handed from the back. Smooth. Now that I understand that, I'll just have to train myself to do that. But I want to come in now with these guys and kind of see how they would do. Let's see if we can, again, I'm going to have to spend a lot of time getting used to this because I'm in the whole push button world at this point in time. They surprisingly, again, this is such a terrible example since I can't hold it in front of the camera. These are holding it really, really well. And again, example of this type of a deal would be if you're doing something decorative. You know, that's where you would go that route. Let's get this out of the way. And I've got some rod here. I'd cut down threaded rod. Let's see what it does with this stuff. So we're gonna slide that back. Man, this works really well from this angle, but I guess is again, like I said, if you train yourself. So classic, that's got a really good grip actually. This is in the sweet spot here for the main teeth. Now this edge section, that's where you'd like be grabbing your sheet metal and stuff. Not as much, but there are teeth there. So let's come in and see if I can fish this up. Now I'm working off camera and I apologize, but I'll go ahead and bring it in. It's the NWS ballistal knife. So I mean, that does have some heft on that side. I think if you were working with something in a vise, the front teeth would be useful. Otherwise, you're probably going to want to go into the throat of the pair of pliers to get a grip. But yeah, that is what we brought in. Again, I was very, very curious about how these stack up and compare. The biggest thing, again, as mentioned, there's no push button on these. Now, they're sliding fairly well. Again, like I said, I probably need to break these in a little bit and get used to them. There's probably some like ideal angle, you know, like having this perfectly 180 or something that would work good. But it's definitely a change of pace, and as I mentioned, the big highlight there is going to be just it's a different design. I will say these are very, very robust for pliers wrenches. There's minimalistic play in them, and it's just kind of exciting to have a different design to play with. I'm wondering what would happen if I threw like a little bit of grease in that track. I know it would suck if, you know, you ever have it at the wrong spot and you start getting debris in there, because it'll stick to it and probably just gum it up. But just for an initial break-in, I think that would be helpful. So these are something I'm going to start working in and kind of seeing how they stack up. Goal eventually would be, once these are sort of broke in and I have some seat time with them, to compare them to some of their counterparts. Not sure that I really have anything that these would compare well with, but I am excited about using them. Again, the little plastic catch is funky, but as long as we articulate it from the top side of the handle, it seems to work flawlessly. So that's it. That's about it for this one. I can't remember if this is Wiha Tool Haul 8 or 9, but it's one of those. I'll figure it out when we go and edit it, I guess. But if you have used either of these items, please let me know. How do they stack up? Particularly if you have experience, say, with a Cobra or Gador's pliers wrench or Knippix's pliers wrench or Stavilla or Hazet or whatever, even American, domestic, foreign. If you've used these, how do they stack up with some other things people would be familiar with? Similarly, how have they treated you over time? Did you get these broke in and you love them and you wouldn't trade them for the world? Did they break in and get easier to use and they lasted 6 months? Same thing with these, you know, does the catch break eventually? Are they amazing? Do you use them all the time? Did you bring them into work and your coworkers bought them? Anything like that is useful information that will help people out. That's the kind of information I like to see. But like I said, these will be getting worked in. I'll see how we like them. It's LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can check us out there. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. But again, Wiha's combo pliers pack, I think these are relatively new, you know, like within 2-3 years, if you will. So we got Wiha's pliers wrench and their auto adjust pliers. Super interesting handle on this. I'm not sure that I like it near as well as this. The other thing is we have their industrial handles, which I absolutely love. As best I know, I don't think those are available yet. I'm also not sure that they've ever developed these in, like, say, a 7-inch and a 12-inch in either of those items. And the other pliers I have that are similar to these would be sort of like Wiha's alligator or channel lock. And I've used these a little bit. Honestly, I tend to use my alligators all the time for some reason. But this would sort of be like the hybrid piece, if you will, and it has a traditional classic grip. But like I said, gonna use these. Beautiful. It's a balancing act over here. and we failed. But gonna get some seat time with these things. Eventually we'll compare and contrast them, and again, any feedback you have, particularly firsthand, would be appreciated. With that said, if you have not subscribed, I encourage you to do so. New videos every Saturday, typically automotive stuff on Wednesday, tools on the weekend. And like I said, if you ring the bell, jump your Charger across the creek, maybe, just maybe, they will notify you for our next Wiha Tool Haul. That said, hope you have yourself a great weekend. I'll catch you back here in the next one.